can't expect to have a normal country if you've only got people that have stuff, and then where let's just say it's the 99%, we know that, but let's say that 10% of the country's doing okay and or at least getting by, and the other 80 or 90% is can't even barely make it. You're not going to have your country is going to implode if that continues. We're not going to continue being a world leader with that going on. I mean, you follow what I'm saying? So
sure.
that kind of had to do. But what really got me motivated to start doing video was Ambernet went apparently down to Wall Street and started interviewing a young man who, and then of course when she does her thing, she goes and shows people playing the bongos and she makes it look like a big circus act down there, and she doesn't say, and she goes, oh, well, don't you know that we actually bailed out all the banks and stuff, and got paid back, and that just made me furious because what she's talking about, I'm not talking about loans, I'm talking about trillions of dollars that was lost of individuals' money, like my parents, your parents, people's grandparents, people that lost their homes because of bad lending. So that got me furious because she was like promoting her agenda, which was let's protect Wall Street and not tell the real story. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
And that's when I made a video.
Would you say that economic inequality is the driving force which leads you to be involved in the Occupy movement?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you go back 30 years ago, a CEO, these are rough numbers, probably made about 30 times what an average employee made. If you look today, it's probably about 500 times what an average employee makes. And it shouldn't be hard to figure out that there's something not right with that picture, especially seeing as how they're not doing 500 times more work. You know what I mean? I've heard someone say that. So that's not my original quote, but that's a great quote because to me that gives you just a rough idea of what we're talking about, why we're in the mess we're in today. You know what I'm saying?
Certainly. Now, what types of actions, whether political actions, do you think are most effective at combating economic inequality, particularly via the realm of the Occupy movement?
Well, I think to me the most important thing we can do, it's just so hard to overcome, I don't even know that I have the answer for that, honestly. I think we're doing what we know to do. We're going out and we're taking it on the streets and we're trying to show people that we're here for the people. We're not here to support any particular candidate or anything like that. But I think it's just going to be, it's kind of like the civil rights movement almost. This is not going to be a short-term solution. This is going to take time to get everything, I know the economy's starting to turn a little bit and this and that, but the underlying problem still lies there. You follow what I'm saying?
Sure. Do you plan on participating in congressional and local elections this year?
I do not, actually.
In any elections?
No, you mean, do I plan on voting or running?
Right, no, voting.
Yeah, definitely. I will definitely vote. Yeah, I thought you meant running, and I'm not. That wouldn't interest me. No, I will be voting for sure. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be voting.
Do you think that voting helps in terms of addressing these issues that have gotten you into the Occupy movement?
Well, I wish I could say, oh, yes, it definitely does. I think, though, that it really doesn't, honestly. But I think the day will come when it might again if what Occupy tries to accomplish is successful. But I still think that we're kind of voting for the lesser of two evils right now. We don't really, it's just always about money. It's never about just doing what's right by people. And again, I get back into the wars we start. There's already people talking about wanting to go to war with Iran, this and that. If you look at our history over the last 50 years, we've been in a lot of wars, and
sure.
And a lot of them, some of them may have been necessary, but a lot of them weren't, and you just can't. I just can't help but think, the guy living over in the Middle East, or the guy that lives in Israel, or the guy that lives in Japan, or we're all humans and we all think alike, and they have no interest in just going out and starting fights with people, just like we shouldn't either. You know what I mean? And sometimes I just think we get a little bit more involved than we need to, and I think that there's an underlying corporate war machine behind all that, and I just think that if you look at the history, that's just sort of what I see.
Yeah,
a lot of people would not like me for saying something like that, but I tell them I just call it like I see it. I was in the 82nd Airborne myself.
Yeah.
So so anyone can say what they want, but there's plenty of veterans that would agree with me 100%. All these wars aren't accomplishing anything but chaos in the world.
Yeah.
As far as Syria goes, that's another whole issue. I don't really want to get into that right now because I don't even know how to deal with that. I feel very horrible for what's going on over there, but there's a right time to intervene and there's a wrong time, and just a lot of the things we've done, like over in Iraq and all that, just were not right. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't mind saying that for the record.
Sure. Do you plan on voting in the presidential election as well as the local election?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and you seem to think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, the system is somewhat corrupt. Do you think that participation through voting and also through other means, such as the Occupy movement, might help make the system work better?
Absolutely, I think it already is. I mean, there's a lot of candidates talk about voter fraud and stuff, but I mean, the real fraud, like I heard someone say recently, is the fact that some people can't vote unless they have an ID or this or that. I mean, that's not the way. I'm not a constitutional expert by any means. I'm not a history expert. I know a little bit about a lot of things, but it seems to me like the whole intention of voting was for everyone to have a right to speak their voice, and to say that you have to have, some people that are poor or can't afford just don't have IDs. Now, I don't know the answer. I mean, I do agree we don't want someone voting more than once, but every legitimate, American has a right to vote, whether they have plastic in their hand or not. I don't know that I know the correct answer or way to go about it, but seeing as how there's a lot of poverty in this country, people that may not have these IDs and stuff, they still have a right to vote, and that needs to be worked out somehow too, because, that's why if they don't get their vote in, and their candidates who would represent them better, let's say, will never get in because they're not being represented,
I got you, Wes. Now I'm going to stop the recorder.